History often remembers the giants, Einstein, Galileo, Curie. But what about the discoveries that slipped through the cracks of time? The brilliant minds whose ideas were buried in the pages of forgotten journals, only to be rediscovered centuries later, or perhaps never at all. Today we journey into the hidden histories of forgotten scientific discoveries. In the 1600s, a Dutch scientist by the name of Antoni van Leeuwenhoek was peering through a humble microscope. His discovery: the existence of bacteria. Now you may think that bacteria were always known to science, but in Leeuwenhoek's time, they were nothing more than a strange and puzzling vision through the lens of his microscope. Using a simple self-made lens, Leeuwenhoek observed the invisible world, tiny creatures in water, saliva, and even dust. Yet his discovery was largely ignored. His findings were written in letters to the Royal Society, but his methods were so rudimentary that many considered his claims fanciful at best. Bacteria, something so foundational to modern medicine, was almost lost to history, forgotten by the scientific community of his time. But Leeuwenhoek wasn't the only one who made groundbreaking discoveries that were overlooked. In fact, one of the greatest unacknowledged minds of the 19th century was Mary Anning, fossil hunter, paleontologist, and a woman whose contributions to the theory of extinction would revolutionize our understanding of the Earth. Mary Anning spent her life unearthing fossils along the cliffs of Lyme Regis in England, but it wasn't until years later that her discoveries truly gained the recognition they deserved. She discovered the first complete ichthyosaurus skeleton, among others, and helped prove that extinction was a natural phenomenon. Yet it was her male counterparts who often took credit for her work. Owen, a well-known figure in British paleontology, borrowed heavily from her findings without proper acknowledgement. Anning's contributions were so impactful, yet for decades, history obscured her role in shaping our understanding of prehistoric life. Another forgotten pioneer in science is Joseph Priestley, a British chemist who in 1774 discovered oxygen. Priestley, however, is more commonly remembered for his work with carbonated water, another breakthrough, but one often overshadowed by his discovery of dephlogisticated air. Priestley was the first to isolate oxygen from air, though he never fully understood its role in combustion or respiration. It wasn't until Antoine Lavoisier, a French chemist, refined and named it oxygen, that it became the foundational element in modern chemistry. Priestley's name is often associated with his work on gases, but the significance of his oxygen discovery would fade from the pages of history. The story of forgotten scientific discoveries extends even to inventions that were centuries ahead of their time. In the 15th century, an inventor by the name of Giovanni de Dondi created a mechanical clock, a masterpiece that displayed the phases of the moon, the days of the week, and the movements of the planets. Though de Dondi's clock was a remarkable piece of engineering, it never gained widespread use or recognition in its day. The clock was eventually lost to history, and it wasn't until the 20th century that historians rediscovered fragments of his design. What could have been the forerunner of modern horology was relegated to the annals of obscurity. And then there's alchemy, a field that straddled the line between mysticism and science. Many of the so-called failed alchemists, obsessed with turning base metals into gold, were in fact pioneers of modern chemistry. Robert Boyle, often called the father of modern chemistry, was once considered an alchemist. His work in gas laws and chemical reactions would lay the groundwork for future scientific breakthroughs, but during his time, he was dismissed by many as nothing more than a sorcerer. It was only later that Boyle's contributions would be recognized as foundational to the field of chemistry, though during his life, his theories were often considered eccentric or even dangerous. In a world where science and magic collided, his work was sometimes more legend than fact. For every scientific leap we celebrate today, there are countless others who contributed, only to have their discoveries overlooked, misunderstood, or even ignored. But as time passes, many of these forgotten minds are rediscovered, their contributions finally getting the recognition they deserve. The next time you look at a microscope or a fossil, remember, hidden in the shadows of history are the stories of those who shaped the world, not with grand fame, but with small, quiet revelations that change the course of science forever. Thank you for exploring these hidden histories with us. If you enjoyed this journey into forgotten science, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that time almost forgot.